Hello, this is Jason, and it is 1 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I am walking around the Eastwood Mall in Niles, Ohio, because I am now officially retired. Let me flip you around. All right, so here we are at the mall. I'm using my cell phone. And I am in action mode on my iPhone 16 Pro Max. So it should stabilize things a lot. It's supposed to make it like it's on a gimbal. And we'll see if that works out. But yes, I am now, as of last Friday, August 8th, I am now officially a retired man at 46 years old, and it feels pretty weird, to tell you the truth. I don't think there's too many people that retire at 46 years old. So, I mean, most people just say they're unemployed. or they're a bum. But I can actually support myself. So I think I can take the retirement title rather than just being unemployed, which is also true. I plan on being unemployed for the rest of my life. Outside of my own entrepreneurial activities, mostly just YouTube, and that'll probably be, one of my sources of income. And what else? I got a few checklist items before I go overseas. Victoria's Secret. And one of those checklist items just got checked off the list, and that was my title for my car. Came in, I signed it over and mailed it to the guy. He's in Cleveland. But I did have a little hiccup because, I was waiting for the title, and I called the DMV, and I'm like, is my title on the way? And they're like, we mailed it to your Texas address. Even though that I had asked Wells Fargo, like, where is this going to get mailed to? And they're like, well, it'll get mailed to the address we have on file, which I gave them my Ohio address. So I'm like, okay. So I was pretty surprised to hear the DMV say they mailed it to my Texas address. And then they sent me a link of how to request a new copy of the title because there's no forwarding. So they said they would just destroy it when it got returned to them. So I filled it out, wrote a $2 check for a copy of the title, dropped it in the mail. And then the next day, in my mailbox in Ohio, the title shows up. So they lied, and the Wells Fargo bank was correct. They mailed it to my Ohio address. So I called the DMV back, and I'm like, can I put a cancel on the request for a copy of the title? Because it invalidates the original title. If they get it, they invalidate the original title and then send a new copy. So that would take a whole another 2 weeks. Oh my God, so frustrating. But I called them and told them to just cancel it. So hopefully they actually can not cash the check and not send me a copy and not cancel my original title. Which reminds me, I'm going to call them every day until they told me that they've torn that check up and is not going to give me a copy of the title. So right after I make this video, I'm going to be calling them. So this is kind of a new place. They got a Dave and Buster's here, which most places have had Dave and Buster's for decades, but Niles, Ohio, and this is a new addition. Niles is a little 20 years behind the times. Here's a little timeline of how far behind Niles is. And this tornado, I remember this tornado, May 31st, 1985. It tore things up around here. It was like a huge, very deadly tornado. Stayed on the ground 47 miles, reaching up to 300 miles an hour. It has been since titled the largest tornado in the world that year. Killed 10 people, including 9 on 422 when a roller rink was leveled. And I used to go skate at that roller rink. Pretty crazy. But yeah, Ohio, or this, at least this part of Ohio, Niles, Ohio, is a little behind the times. They're mostly stuck in the 40s and 50s, I'd say. This mall is really the most advanced thing that it's got going around here. So that was one thing that was on my checklist, is the title. And until that guy actually gets it titled in his name in Ohio, then that's kind of still on the list before I can go. Another thing on the list is my friend Jason is sending me a iPhone 14 Pro that I was letting his son use for a couple of years because it was still like on a contract, and I'm on his cell phone plan at the moment. I'll be canceling that soon before I go, but I was letting his son use the 14 Pro, but I just paid it off. There was only like one more month left on the program, so I paid it off, and he's got that in the mail. So he just dropped that in the mail yesterday, so it should get here by Thursday, couple days. So that's another thing checked off the list. And I filed for unemployment, which I think I could get 6 months of unemployment, which the benefit is like $2,400 a month. So I might as well cash in that $2,400 a month. But you do have to actively be looking for a job. So I did put my resume online, and I looked for jobs in this area, and I said that my minimum salary was like about what my salary was for my job at Dell, which is around $115,000. So I put that as my minimum salary, and there's no way that I'm gonna get a job in Niles, Ohio for $115,000 doing what I do, which is like a senior systems engineer or admin on Microsoft Windows Server Systems. So I'm not really worried about getting a job, because there's not going to be one that I would take around here anyway. I mean, that's one of the whole reasons I moved out of this area, is because there's no job opportunities like that. I think the nearest, I did do a search on they have like this Ohio job site or something, and I think the nearest thing that was available was at Youngstown State University. There was some kind of systems administrator position, but the salary was like $55,000 a year, so that's less than half of what I was asking for. So yeah, it's not gonna happen. Jobs are not available, and if the jobs are available, they're paying way less than what I was making in Austin, Texas. So I'll try to collect on that, but that you have to like reapply for it like every week. And I did put on there that like I want to work remotely, and I'm pretty much making myself unhireable for this area. But I mean, I will apply. If they cannot find me a job for $115,000 that I can work remotely from anywhere in the world, and I might take it. I would do a little remote sysadmin job from while I travel around Southeast Asia for $115,000 a year. That'd be nice. Not holding my breath on that though. And let's see, what are some other checklist items I need to complete before I go? Let's see, what was the other one? Just waiting for the title, employment. I guess the only things was selling my house, selling my car, getting laid off. Oh, I have to actually go through and get my severance pay and stuff, which ends up being 6 months pay. So it's around, I don't know, $56,000. And I think it's all in one lump sum payment. So that's nice. Add that to my investments. And then, what else? Oh, I was thinking that I had to pay off my 401k loan, but I was able to just set up payment plan on it so that I can just continue the payments I was making on it, which was like $500 and some a month. And so I don't have to pay it all off. And I have like a 9.5% interest loan. But the thing is, that would be a high interest if I was paying that to a bank. But with a 401k loan, you pay that interest back to yourself. So I'm paying myself 9.5% interest on my 401k loan of borrowing my own money. I'm paying myself interest. So it's really, nothing. I'm not losing any money on this deal. I'm just paying myself interest, which that's fine. And I have it invested in Bitcoin or Bitcoin related proxies. So that should appreciate at least 30+% a year. So it'll outpace any interest rates. Anyway, even if I was paying it to a bank. There's a lot of people that have done that on Twitter. I wouldn't recommend doing it probably right now because I think we're, at least halfway maybe. Or the Bitcoin local peak is probably within a year from now before there's a pretty big pullback. I did this. I took out the 401k loan when Bitcoin was at like $55,000. So I've already doubled my money on that loan. So that's cool. So that was an item. And I'm rolling over my 401k into a traditional IRA so that I have more investment vehicles I can invest in. Because if you keep it in the 401k, you can only invest in the 10 or 15 items that they have available to invest in, where if you roll it over to a traditional IRA, that allows you to invest in pretty much anything that you can invest in a regular investment account. So I could invest it in MicroStrategy and Bitcoin ETFs and preferred shares. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is putting my riskier, and I'll do this before the end of the year, but I'll put my riskier, quote unquote riskier, more, I shouldn't even say riskier, because over the long term, I don't think there's a lot of risk in Bitcoin related investments. Personally, from studying Bitcoin, that's what I believe, not investment advice. Do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor, but I will put my more volatile, I should say, investments like MicroStrategy stock and like a Bitcoin ETF. I'll put that into my traditional IRA retirement fund, where that I can't touch until I'm 59 and a half. So that'll be able to appreciate over 10 years, 12 years, and before I can actually touch it. And then in my investment accounts that I have access to right now, I'm gonna sell my MicroStrategy, which I'm hoping to wait until after the first of the year, because I'm already going to have a pretty big amount of income this year from working half the year, plus my severance pay. That's going to be counting. So I would love it if I could wait till after the first of the year to like sell and have to claim capital gains on any earnings. And then I will roll over my personal investments into some preferred stock shares. Mostly all the strategy preferred shares, like STRD, which is currently giving 11.7% interest. STRC. So STRD is it's kind of like a high interest savings account, but it's a Microsoft preferred stock, and it's backed by Bitcoin, 5 times collateralized, backed by Bitcoin. So they have 5 times the amount of Bitcoin backing it as they have obligations for the dividends to pay. And then STRC is more like a cash money account, but instead of only earning like 4% on your cash in a money market account, you get like over 9%. I think it's at 9.3% right now for STRC. And it's always going to be around, the value of that share is always going to be around $100 a share. So if it starts going up above $100 a share, the interest rate that you're paid will get lowered till it goes down to like 8%, 7%, 6%. It's variable from month to month. And then people will start selling it off and it'll get back down to par, which is $100 a share. And if it starts dipping down, $95, $90, they'll raise the rate to where it's like 9.5%, 10% rate. And that gets more people to buy shares of STRC, which helps bring it back up to that $100 par value that they're targeting. So that's the most stable investment. That's the closest to a cash equivalent, high interest investment that I'm going to have in my portfolio. And the other one is STRK, and that one actually has some capital appreciation. So it's worth 1/10 of a share of MicroStrategy MSTR shares. So it will appreciate as MSTR appreciates. And after MSTR is over $1,000 a share, that's when it can actually be redeemed, where each share of STRK can be redeemed for 1/10 of a share of MSTR. So the value of those STRK shares will go up until MSTR reaches $1,000, and then it'll just kind of move at the same pace as the MSTR shares. And also, not only does it appreciate, it's also offering like a 8% dividend at par, which is $100. $100 is the par value of all of these preferred shares. So STRK is a little bit over $100 right now. I think it might be somewhere between $110, $120. So the rate that it's offering is less than 8% at the moment. It's like 7%. But you're still getting a 7% interest on a preferred share that has some downside protection, unlike MSTR. So when the MSTR shares go down in value, there's nothing really to support buying more of it, except for, like quarterly earnings and stuff like that. Whereas if shares of STRK go down, that interest rate starts going back up. So if it dips below $100, then you start getting offered a higher percentage dividend from 8% to over 8%. And then that's what the downside protection is. As it goes down, a higher dividend is offered, which makes it more attractive to buy. So you get more new buyers that'll buy it for that higher dividend payment, which causes the share price to go back up. So that's why it has, quote unquote, a downside protection. And then the other one is STRF, and that is kind of like the risk-free rate. That's almost like a 10-year treasury, I'd say, because it's super over-collateralized. It's like 7 times over-collateralized. And it has, if they miss a dividend payment, then the percentage of the payment goes up. So it has a 10% at par dividend. So at $100, it pays a 10% dividend. But if you miss a payment, if they miss a payment, then it goes up to like 11% and 12%. It keeps going up, which means Strategy is motivated to pay that dividend. So it'll be the first one that they make sure they pay. Whereas the STRD, it's kind of more of a junk bond type thing. If they miss a payment, there's no penalty, which, they're going to try not to miss payments, because if they miss a bunch of payments, no one's going to want to buy it. But there's no penalty if they don't. So like if Bitcoin went down to $10,000 a coin, they might skip paying STRD dividends for a while until Bitcoin goes back up. So that's all the preferred shares. STRF, that's kind of like a 10-year treasury. That's the highest on the capital structure too. So if there was a bankruptcy, that's the first one that gets paid out. And it gets paid out at $100 a share. So you're guaranteed almost $100 a share if all the crap hits the fan. And then next in the capital structure is STRC, which that's like the cash equivalent thing, kind of like a money market account. And that gets paid out at $100 a share. And then the next is STRK. And that's the one that's worth 1/10 of a share of MicroStrategy and has around an 8% dividend at par, $100 a share. And then next on the structure is STRD. And then the lowest in the structure is MSTR shares. So MSTR shares have the most risk. If they did go bankrupt, they would pay out all those preferred stocks first. And then like the common stock shareholder, MSTR, would get what's left. But since they're taking most of the risk, MSTR shares have most of the gain to, when things go up, MSTR is going to go up more than any of those. And really the only other one that should go up in tandem with MSTR is STRK. So, I'm sure you guys all want to know that, but you should know that I have plans for my portfolio and how to earn an income. And I'm pretty much going to divide it. I'm probably going to have I'll have MicroStrategy and Bitcoin in my traditional IRA. So that'll be like half of my available money will be in those two. and then the other half will be split among the preferreds. So probably 25% in each one. And when you add all those up, it's somewhere around like it averages out to around a 9% dividend. So for every $100,000 you have invested, you're going to be getting $9,000 a year in dividend payments. So, I mean, just from my house money, where I sold my house I cleared $346,000, let's say $350. I'm going to be getting around $30-some thousand a year just on my house money, which I had other money too, investments before I sold my house. So, but just my house alone is already at $30,000 plus a year. So that just tells you I have plenty of income available to be able to support myself in my retirement. Like there's around here, like that job at a systems engineer at Youngstown State University is offering $55,000 a year. I could tell you that I'll be making more than $55,000 a year off my investments, just having my money. My money is going to be making more money for me than what working that job would. So, I mean, I could, I could live on that even around here, but I don't really want to live around here. It's the problem. And, 50, 60K a year is really, it gets to be not that much. If I go to Austin, like trying to live in Austin on 50, 60K, you're kind of, living paycheck to paycheck on that, I think. You're not living lavishly by any means in Austin, in my opinion. So, just wanted to share a little of what's going on and the outlook for my retirement with you. And I mean, there's a lot of other retirement portfolios that are, a lot more complicated than that. There's people that invest in 20 different dividend stocks, McDonald's and, oil companies and cigarette companies, and there's all these different, dividend paying stocks, and they're only paying like a few percentage points, like 1 to 4% probably on average. AT&T might pay a little higher at like 6% maybe. I'm not sure what they're up to now. But there's nothing that really compares to the dividends that are getting paid out on the MicroStrategy preferred stocks at the moment. And they're almost risk-free, in my opinion. If you have any belief that Bitcoin will at least be worth what it is now or greater in the future, and if you don't believe that, then you've not studied Bitcoin enough, in my opinion. So, not financial advice. Do your own research. I'm cutting some corners just to avoid walking like right behind people and having to pass people. I'm just doing my own laps, my own tracks. So this is where I've been coming just to walk and exercise. It's a little cooler in here. You get some air conditioning. It's about 89 degrees outside right now, so I'd rather not go anywhere and walk in the heat. And you could people watch here. And they have, halfway decent looking things to look at, like fishies. You can get a closer look at the fishies. Little stingrays. This is a pretty nice little aquarium. Got some clownfish. Got Nemo. Got Nemo over here. Working up a little sweat. So I estimate my departure being in about maybe 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, which right now is the 12th when I'm recording this. I'm not sure when I'll actually post it, but I should be out of here by, I don't know, the 25th maybe? Before the end of the month. Let's just say that, before the end of the month. So I'll also talk about where I'm kind of tentatively planning on going. So this time of the year is pretty much peak rainy season in, Thailand, Vietnam areas. So I think the first place that I'm going to end up going is Bali, Indonesia, where this time of the year it's actually pretty dry. So probably go to Bali for like a month or two. And then in October, towards the end of October, I will go to Thailand. And I'll probably stop in Bangkok for just a little bit and then go on to Chiang Mai up in the north, hang out there for maybe a month, and probably hang out in Thailand and through the end of January, because that's like the best months. November, December, January, those are really the best months to be in Thailand. And I'll just kind of roam around exploring different areas of Thailand. Chiang Mai, Bangkok, Hua Hin, which is a little beach town on the Gulf of Thailand. I want to check out Krabi, Koh Samui. That's where that series was just filmed. What's the name of it? Dang it. It's like the resort something, where they're in the resort. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on that. Anyways, it's a popular show. It was just filmed in Koh Samui. It'll come to me probably before the end of this video. So those are some places that I want to visit in Thailand before I move on. And then in February, that's when things like burning season starts coming around in Thailand, especially up in the north in Chiang Mai. You really don't want to be around between like February and April in the north of Thailand. And even in Bangkok, it gets smoky because they start burning the crops. And, it's just bad air pollution from burning. And hopefully they start cracking down on that. But I mean, that's the cheapest way to renew a field for a fresh crop. That's what they do to all the like rice fields and stuff. They just burn them. And then that renews the field, ready for the next planting season. Which is really not good for the air quality. While things are burning in Thailand, that's when I'm going to go to Vietnam. So I'll probably go to Da Nang first, because I'm really excited to get to Da Nang. And I'm still going to have to wait till next February to go. That's how far I'm going to put it off, I think. And probably stay there for around a month. And also want to go to Saigon or Ho Chi Minh. And probably hang around there for a month. And you get a 3-month visa for $25 to go to Vietnam. So I'll try to spend all 3 months there. And then I'll save my last month to go to Dalat, which is kind of a mountainous city that is between 65 and 75 degrees year round due to the high elevation. So I'll save that for last because that's probably, things are going to start warming up as it gets closer to the summertime months. And where there really isn't like seasons like we have in the US, it's more just like rainy season and not rainy season. But it does get a little hotter in the what we would consider summer months. So that's the plan on that. And then that'll take me up to February, March, April, May. I will end up going probably to Malaysia. I'll go to Kuala Lumpur and Penang. And those are the two that I'm definitely going to visit. And then I'll have to figure out, I'll probably go to some kind of nice beach town. I'm not sure where. But I think you get a 3-month visa. Just visa on arrival. You don't even have to pay for it for U.S. citizens visiting Malaysia. You just show up and they let you stay there for 3 months. No questions asked. And that seems like it's one of the easiest places to get into as far as like immigration and stuff. Like they just, you scan your passport and they take a picture of your face and you just walk right in. I don't even think you have to talk to anybody. Pretty wild. So that's where I'll go for May, June, July-ish. And that should be getting into rainy season. And what else do I have on my list to go to? I think Philippines. There's the rest of the countries. Those are the ones I've named already. Those are the main places I want to go. So Thailand, Bali, Indonesia. And I'm not sure of any other places in Indonesia that are worth checking out. If you've ever been anywhere else besides Bali and Indonesia and it's cool, then let me know. But Bali's really all that I know. So after Bali, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, the other options are Cambodia, which is Phnom Penh, the capital, or Siem Reap. So I'll probably go hang out there at some point. Not in a huge rush to get there. Laos, which Laos is like, there's really not much going on in Laos. It's very underdeveloped. So I might skip that for a while. And then the Philippines. There's a lot of places that I do want to check out in the Philippines. Definitely want to check out BGC and Makati in the Manila area. Those are probably the nicest areas in the Philippines. And then like Bohol, Davao, Baguio. That's like that's kind of like a Dalat place in the Philippines where it's high elevation and it's kind of cooler year round. And Boracay, that's kind of like a beach town. It's kind of touristy, but it's very beautiful. You picture paradise in your head. That's kind of what Boracay looks like. So that's someplace that's on the list. And that'll probably sum up the year. And then I'll start looping around countries, maybe just going to different cities, start over again, go back to Indonesia, maybe go to Jakarta. or something instead of Bali. But I have a feeling that when I go to Indonesia, I'll probably just be going to Bali. And there's a lot of different places to visit on Bali Island anyway. So it's like Canggu, Ubud, that's kind of the center, Uluwatu. I don't really know all the names. I've watched some videos, but I'm by no means a Bali expert. But there is a lot of places just to explore Bali itself that I probably won't explore the whole place while I'm there for just a month or so, month or two. Oh, so that's the plan. And then, depending on how things go in the future, I might end up expanding out of Southeast Asia and start going to like East Asia, Japan. I would love to go to Tokyo and Osaka, and I'd love to go to South Korea. And actually my friend Ron, who is actually from China, he was born in China and lived there until he was 16 years old, and that's when he moved to the United States. He said he would meet me in China, I think next year sometime. We'll see if that happens. He'll probably meet me, if not next year, at some point in the future. And I would love to travel around China with my friend Ron, who speaks fluent Mandarin and can actually get around there. Because China, like, hardly anyone speaks English in China. So if you don't have everything would be Google Translate, and I would much rather tour China with someone that speaks Mandarin myself. So I'll wait for my friend Ron to go to China. But there's a lot of cool cities in China that I would like to visit. Maybe I'll end up, going to visit him in China every other year or so and go to a different city every time to explore a new city. That'd be cool. Be able to stay in touch with him. And then once I've explored all of Asia, maybe in the future I could expand out into Europe. But, I'm getting way ahead of myself. I have to explore all of Asia first. That's my goal. And I have to explore all of Southeast Asia in particular first before I even start expanding to other parts of Asia. And there are places that I really don't have in Asia that I don't have any desire to visit from what I've seen in videos. And that would be like India, Bangladesh, Nepal. I'm not really interested from what I've seen. They seem like they're very, very, very poor and very dirty environments from what I've seen. No offense to anyone from there. But from what I've seen, it's just chaos and not attractive to me. And I mean, there's parts of the Philippines. The Philippines has a lot of poverty too, but it just seems like it's on a different level in India and Bangladesh in particular. Nepal has Mount Everest, and there's a lot of beautiful nature and stuff in Nepal, but in the cities, it's kind of reminds me of India and stuff. Kathmandu. So I'm probably not going to visit those places. And if I do, it won't be until I've exhausted all other exploration activities. All right, well, I've walked 3 miles almost. I will be by the time I get back to the car. So I think I'm about to wrap it up. I'll go wrap it up in front of these balloons over here. Give you my little outro in front of Victoria's Secret and the balloons. so that pretty much wraps it up. I do have some sweat going on. Got me a little sweaty. But that was my little walk and talk update. Hope you enjoyed it. And adventures are coming up soon to Southeast Asia. So stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe. Click the link in the description of jasonmichaelphillips.com/contact. And that's where you can see all of my different social media accounts that you can follow me on. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Take it easy.